Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. I'm sure you have watched this news that a medical doctor, Adnan Ali Sarkar from Pune, was arrested by the Indian authorities, Indian police, for his connection with ISIS, Islamic State. So he was actually leading an ISIS module. So a lot of people argue that, because of lack of education and wealth, people get into terrorism. But this is not the case. I don't think so that lack of education and poverty is the problem. He did his schooling among Hindus and non-Muslims. He did his college in medical studies. And he worked and gained reputation among non-Muslim doctors. Did his country, India, not give him equal chance? Did his country, India, not give him equal opportunity to learn and thrive? Then what happened? The answer is very simple. The disease of an Islamist ideology, an ideology that believes that you aren't a Pakka Musliman, you are not a proper Muslim, you are not a perfect Muslim, until you make Islam dominant. And there should be no government except one caliphate, except one khilafah. Muslims are suffering. This is what they believe. They believe that Muslims are suffering in the world because there is no khilafah, there is no global central government. And they believe that khilafah or the caliphate is like a magic wand. Once you get it, every problem of the Muslim world will be fixed. And they believe that your deeds will not be accepted by God until you choose a caliph and give him a pledge of allegiance. The ulama or the religious leaders and any Muslim who doesn't, give this pledge of allegiance will die the death of Jahiliyyah. He will die the death of ignorance. And the period which was before Islam was called as the Dawr Jahiliyyah. So they believe that anyone who doesn't give the pledge of allegiance to the caliph or the khalifa, he will die upon ignorance, not on Islam. And any scholar who opposes this belief will be immediately called as the scholar for dollar or Sarkari Musalman. So this indoctrination doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. At first, these individuals get disconnected with traditional scholars. They form a cult. They do Islamic orientation programs in houses and private halls, not in the masjids and not in the mosques, because obviously the mosque authorities will not entertain these individuals. For obvious reasons, they'll be scared and they don't want to get into the limelight, so they don't entertain these individuals. So these individuals won't be satisfied with any government. They believe that every government is taghut, is a false god. And they believe that obeying the non-Muslim government is forbidden. And they believe that the Muslim governments, like the Saudi or the Emirati or the Bahraini or the Egyptian government, these governments are not enough Muslims. So obeying these governments and rulers will eventually lead you to hellfire. They self-interpret texts, and they will be very hasty in excommunicating other Muslims as kafir and munafiq. So these were the teachings of Maududi, Banna, Israr Ahmad, and Sayyid Qutb and Khomeini. So who will fix this problem? Muslims have to fix this problem. The ulama should start talking about something called as Wataniya. And there is a Saudi scholar, his name is Sheikh Khalid Raddadi. He wrote a book called as Wataniya. So probably this book will be very helpful to understand the concept of Wataniya, the concept of national identity. So the ulama should talk about the national interest. They should talk about national identity. They should preach that no matter who comes and goes in the government, it's our responsibility to follow the system. It may or may not be Muslim government. So adhering to a state is mandatory. And unfortunately, a lot of people are confused about the definition of state. They don't even know what the state means. So the ulama have this responsibility to teach about the concept of state. The individuals who bring up spicy and exciting concepts from internet, from Google, so these individuals should not be entertained in the masjids. And if they're trying to corrupt the youth, then in that case, the mosque authorities should consult the youth and should try to counsel him. And if he doesn't stop, then obviously he should be restricted to only praying inside the masjid and leaving. That's it. He should not be entertained to teach or to preach in the masjid. And no foreign scholars should be promoted or entertained, because every scholar will have his own nationalist agenda, which he will try to push covertly, like how Israr Ahmad pushed the concept of Ghazwa-e-Hind and the Pakistan ISI narrative that, you know, Taliban and Pakistan will collaborate and they'll be doing Ghazwa-e-Hind. So obviously they'll have an agenda in their mind. So the foreign scholars should not be promoted in India, and the foreign students, for example, from Nigeria, from Yemen, from from Qatar, when they come when they come for the studies or tourism, they should not be allowed to get involved in the mosque activities, whether it's preaching or forming small halakas or groups. They should be only welcome to attend the masjid, but they should not be allowed to preach. There should be regular programs in the mosques to educate youth against the dangers of Khawarij groups like Ikhwan al-Muslimin, Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Daesh, Hamas, all other terrorist organizations. They should be taught about this. They should be taught that India is a state and they are not aliens living in India under some compulsion. There should be flyers and books and social media campaigns to promote the idea of inclusiveness and coexistence, not separatism or even the religious syncretism. They should be taught patience and wisdom, and disgruntled attitude towards any government or any establishment should be discouraged. I agree that in democracy you're allowed to criticize the government, but this should not cross the boundary and cross the lines and becomes an everyday activism, which eventually leads youth to subscribe to some foreign ideologies. And most importantly, the youth should be warned against the radical left, from where the idea of anti-establishment comes. This is why a radical Islamist and the left work in tandem, because they have a common interest. And Muslims should be taught that the left and the Islamists are not the Messiah they are looking for. So the solution to the problem lies in bringing reforms in the social, educational, political, and religious structure, which obviously takes time and patience. And we need to understand that there is no $1 quick fix you apply and things will be all right. I hope this is clear. Thank you so much.